Namaste and welcome back to another episode of The Sapient. Today we have an entrepreneur and perhaps the first true Indian guest on the show. And sorry, it took me like 70 episodes to get to an Indian. So, welcome, Rachana. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Ganesh, and it's a great news for me also. I am certainly feeling very lucky and special.
Yeah.
So, thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, how's your day going? What's up?
Yeah, day is going absolutely fantastic, and like I was just sharing with you, I was so excited to be
Mhm.
on the podcast that I logged in half an hour early. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the level of excitement I have to talk to you and your listeners. Yeah.
Yes. So you have a very interesting trajectory of life, right? So you went from a typical corporate employee to doing something on your own. And as you were saying, it was not something that you did early on, right?
Right.
So you did stick to one path for a long period of time and then you switched. So can you introduce yourself a little bit and let us know what was that switch and everything?
Sure, thanks for that question. So, just to give a brief, what I do right now, I actually help aspiring leaders between the age group of 25 to 30 and seasoned leaders between the age group of 31 to 45.
Hmm.
And I help them actually build meaningful connections in their life.
Hmm.
And by meaningful connections, I mean that while all of us are the best socially connected we can think of in today's world, but it is interesting to see that the loneliness quotient is going higher and higher in
Yeah.
individuals. And if I see reports like WHO, then they are almost on the verge of declaring loneliness as a epidemic. So that is the level we have reached. So this is something which I am completely motivated and I work towards. I also work as a leadership coach. And yes, coming back to the journey of being an entrepreneur, and it has been an interesting journey. Like you rightly said, this was not my first go to place
Hmm.
when I started my life. And I became a full fledged entrepreneur 2 years back, where I'm running my own venture.
Hmm.
So it took me almost 21 years to decide that I have to shift to an entrepreneurial world from a employee world.
Hmm.
And it is interesting that after doing 16 years of corporate, like I always say, this is my second innings of life.
Hmm. Yeah.
And the first innings was focused towards what I feel is just moving in the direction where most of us move,
Hmm.
have getting married, getting a job, having children, moving up the corporate ladder.
Hmm.
And 16 years of corporate made me realize just one question, that is this what I want to do for the rest of my life, and am I really enjoying what I am doing?
Hmm.
So like it is said, that if we are not happy, there is some discomfort that you will always experience in your gut. It is just that whether we are willing
Hmm.
to acknowledge first
Yep.
the discomfort that we are having.
Hmm.
And that made me actually shift path. And
Hmm.
I couldn't still realize after 16 years that I have to start my own venture. Then I moved to an NGO, and the feeling that I got there was that I want to contribute to making the world a happier place.
Hmm.
How, what, that I hadn't still figured out. So that is when I decided I will leave. I just left everything, and my plan was to start doing social work without any financial requirement. But
Hmm.
luckily, I came across an NGO. So 5 years I worked with an NGO, and during the COVID period is when I reassessed
Hmm.
how are things and what I want to do, and what exactly is it that I want to contribute. And that is how I landed in understanding that no, I have to start my own venture.
Hmm.
So it has been, like you can say, 21 years of push, not 21 years I will say, but 7 8 years of push and pull to figure out that okay, let me do something of my own.
Hmm. And when you made this move, right? Did anybody call this as like a midlife crisis?
Yeah, so it was not exactly a midlife crisis, but yeah, my two places where I really got feedback, and I will say it was good intentioned. It is not something that came to me as people who did not believe in me, but because they believed in me, they said that most probably you're making an incorrect move. So the one was from corporate to an NGO, which is like a complete
Yeah.
shift, in
Hmm.
terms of the infrastructure, in terms of way of working. And a lot of people told me that most probably this will not work for you and you will start feeling frustrated. And the similar thing happened when I decided to move out from an NGO to starting my own venture,
Hmm.
because this was like a risky territory.
Yeah.
Because you are on your own, you have to navigate everything. It was a big shift for me, because after working in a comfortable ecosystem, having a team in place where
Hmm.
you can just request them do this, do that, to
Yeah.
suddenly becoming a I will say individual or a solopreneur,
Hmm.
and right from making your own tea to calling yourself the CEO, it's up
Yeah.
to our luxury. How do we want to position ourselves? So yes, it was a big shift, and a lot of people told me to think twice
Hmm.
before I will say taking up this role.
Hmm.
But like I said, the inner calling is something which at times is so strong that you just go with your gut feeling.
Hmm.
And yeah, that is what I did. And
Yeah.
of course there was some planning involved which we can always discuss, but
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah. And it's almost like amazing that people who have not done it, right, will always give you suggestions, right?
That is true, that is
And
true.
they consider themselves as experts
Right,
in the said field, and they're like, I know this better.
right.
um, but they themselves have not done anything, right?
That is
um,
true, that is true.
because
So
there is
I
this, yeah.
Yeah, so, sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
So there is this saying that says, whenever you are in your early 20s, right, acquire as much as risk as you can, right? So
Hmm.
but in your case it's like totally different, right? Because you are one of those people, who really went through the safe route, right? And
Right.
then realize, okay, it might not be worth it, and
Hmm.
then switched, right?
Right.
So what was your kind of mind shift, right? Like, from how you operate to, let's say, how did you view at everything, right? Because when you're in a corporate, you're given a budget, right?
Right.
And you just follow that.
Hmm.
You don't care about where that budget is coming from, where is it going, right? You plan it out, but you really don't care about it.
Yeah.
Whereas when you run your own business, it's like you have to worry about all the aspects of it, right? So what
Right.
was that shift?
Right. So, if you ask me, I will look at this question a little differently, because the what drove me from taking such a big risk, I will say, in my life, which I still don't call as a risk, but I position it as my calling, is that the realization that I have to contribute to the fullest of my abilities
Hmm.
and help make the world a better place.
Hmm.
Okay, and this calling, or I will say this feeling, is so strong. And I would love to share that today when I get up at 5 a.m., I never woke up at 5 a.m. during my early years, right? But if somebody asks, my energy level right now is much higher compared to what it was 10 years back. And I'm sure you may be experiencing something similar, because you are
Yeah.
running your own venture, right? Because the drive is very different.
Hmm.
So what happened is that what I realized is that particular feeling to start my own venture came from contributing to a bigger cause.
Hmm.
And the second most important thing is that I decided that if I have to make the shift this time, I will not do it alone,
Hmm.
but I will do it with a mentor.
Got it.
Okay, and this particular framework really, really worked very effectively for me, because then I knew on this journey I'm not alone.
Hmm.
Okay, and like you were just now mentioning, that it is important to have people who have done it.
Yeah.
Okay, and they know every aspect of it, be it
Correct.
emotional aspect, mental aspect, financial aspect, and they are there to help you and guide you and navigate you. So this is one good thing which I did when I
Hmm.
started my journey, and it really helped me, I will say, transition very smoothly
Hmm.
from my employee journey to an entrepreneurial journey, because one, it was not sudden.
Hmm.
Second, the drive was to contribute to a much bigger purpose. And after that, what happens is, whatever challenges you face, or I will say requirements of setting up a business, getting clients, going into marketing, all that actually becomes, I will say, part of the wheels,
Hmm.
but you know the car is already in place. So
Yeah.
you know this is the car I want to run, right? And
Hmm.
you are so excited to run it that you will do whatever to fix the machinery, but you know that
Hmm.
okay, this is the car I have to drive.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the feeling I had, which drove me towards making that move. I will say rather smoothly.
Hmm. Got it. And what was your first biggest mistake?
First biggest mistake. So I my understanding would be, so I will say it was not in the first year. In fact, it was in the second year, and it always happens. I will not say always happens, but typically happens with working mothers. In the second year of my business, I slowed down.
Hmm.
Okay, because my daughter was transitioning from, I will say, junior college to college, right?
Hmm.
And that whole motherly instinct
Hmm.
starts playing a role, because I knew she's going to move out of home,
Hmm.
and that is where I need to spend time with her. So I kind of, the momentum I had built in first year, that momentum I knowingly reduced in the second year. And I right now feel that while obviously everything had not stopped, okay, because I have clients and things are happening. However, I feel that as an entrepreneur, because you are the soul of
Hmm.
your business, right?
Yes, soul and whole. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it is valuable to still, and as an employee, we always know how to do a balance between professional and personal. But as an entrepreneur, because you are free and
Hmm.
you are in charge of your time, and there
Yep.
is nobody sitting on your head. So what happens is that you tend to make those mistakes, and
Hmm.
you don't realize that okay, this is the business where you are the CEO and you need to run it. Okay,
Yep.
so yeah, I that is one thing I will say I would call it out as a mistake that I did in
Hmm.
the second year. Yeah.
Got it. And what was your kind of first moment where you thought, okay, I need to build a system?
Hmm.
Like this cannot be just manual or chaotic. There has to be a proper system that we need to work on. Like, what was your first moment of that? Okay, like, oh
Hmm.
shit, we need to figure this out.
So thankfully for me, because see, I transitioned from corporate, I was director technology in the NGO. So tech
Nice.
has been part of me very naturally, and it has been, thankfully, I have always looked at technology as a navigator rather than something which I am scared of.
Hmm.
So even with the new technologies like AI and Chat GPT coming in, I have never looked at it as threats, because I know that human intelligence is not something which uh, is so minimal that we need to get scared of any intelligences that are being created in the ecosystem. So system was something that was part of me right from day zero,
Hmm.
and maybe that is what helped me be structured. And like I said, because I had a mentor with me who already is in a similar industry and is doing well. So the first thing actually was laying the foundation right,
Hmm.
okay, rather than getting the clients. Okay, but thankfully, by God's grace, I had paid clients right from day zero.
Hmm.
But again, my focus was initially not to onboard clients, but it was first to build the system and the framework that I need. Okay, and the system could be as simple as even having a, I will say, a visiting card. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
start positioning yourself in the market as a person who owns a business, owns a venture, and what is the direction, even laying out the vision, mission of what am I going to do, how am I going to work, then building onto the business strategy document.
Hmm.
So all that work, and including obviously technology, because even my, I will say, working on Canva
Hmm.
happened right as I started my entrepreneurial journey. It, because I was so into PowerPoints till the time I
Hmm.
was with an NGO, and there are a lot of things that you can't do as an employee, right? Because the
Yes.
organization is structured in a manner, so you
Hmm.
can't get look like over enthusiastic.
Yep.
So again, knowing systems is something which I did, and I will say it is part of me every day. Like even right now, as we speak,
Hmm.
I'm always in the mode of understanding, even using AI. Okay, the
Yeah.
adoption of Chat GPT. All this happened very, I will say, organically, because
Hmm.
I know that it makes life much
Easier.
simpler.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So, do you think that the barrier to enter, right, this whole journey today is relatively lower than what was it like 5 years ago?
Yeah, the entrepreneurial journey you're
Yep.
asking.
Yeah.
I will say definitely it is easier because there are multiple things that we see around us. One is, which typically in an Indian context I would like to call out, is our risk taking appetite.
Hmm.
Okay, our the kind of background, family backgrounds that we have come from. Okay, certainty was something that is always valued.
Hmm.
Okay, and entrepreneurial journey is the first level of uncertainty,
Yeah.
which we don't enjoy because it all of us feel it comes at a lot of cost.
Hmm.
So again, the biggest thing that has happened is a mindset shift.
Hmm.
As I see people around me, as I see young, I will say youngsters around me, especially in the age group of 25 to
Hmm.
30, the way they are, the mindset that they have
Hmm.
is, and even if you see shows like a Shark Tank, the
Hmm.
number of entrepreneurs, that young entrepreneurs that you have is
Yep.
amazing, right? So there is a huge, I will say, mindset shift that has happened, that you don't need a lot of experience to build a business.
Yeah.
Okay, you need a good and amazing idea, the right resources, and you can start even at the age of 20.
Hmm.
Okay, and interestingly, these days even education is not a barrier.
Yeah.
At during our time, education used to be a very big indicator of how successful you will be in your life, right? But just to give an example, you may have seen this coach Siddharth Rajshekhar, who always starts his, he's a successful entrepreneur in India, and he always starts his pitch by saying that I am a college dropout, or,
Hmm.
he failed college. And
Yeah.
today he's a very successful entrepreneur. So interestingly, yes, it is much easier today. There is lot of openness in terms of your parents supporting, if I talk about the youngsters, your parents supporting that idea of starting something on your own. Sadly, the organizational environment is forcing people to get into being entrepreneurs, which is not a very good, I will say, way of shifting to being an entrepreneur. In
Hmm.
fact, when I was with the organization, then we used to work towards having entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
Okay, that being part of an organization, how you can actually start your own business within, in terms of supporting the organization and growing it. And lastly, yes, the financial part of it. Okay, even if we see the way the government is positioning itself in terms of supporting the financial aspect of starting new businesses, has partially improved, while we have a long way to go. But so yes, I feel it is much better today compared to what it was 5 years back.
Hmm. Yeah, because I agree with you, because the risk, appetite, right, as you said, rightly said, um, acquiring as much as risk as early in your career is beneficial then, um, because then you are used to taking risks,
Right.
right? Then you're not faced by smaller issues or daily challenges in your business. But it also leads to building that kind of callous, right, towards challenges and working on them.
Right.
And yeah, because of technology today, right, it's not hard for a business to scale, right? I
Hmm.
mean, if you have your basics like covered and you know what you're exactly selling, scaling is not a issue, right? Whereas like 5 or 10 years ago, that was the issue, right? Like people really invested in scaling.
Right.
But today it's like, like for example, you could have your own call center right now with no humans working on it, right?
Hmm. Very
So
true.
your ability to mitigate issues in a business is very easy now. So once you started your business, right, uh, in terms of finance, right, how many years did it take you, or how many months did it take you to break even?
So, in terms of my business, because it is a service based business, I'm working as a coach. So, I will say the investment on my business was just in terms of building my own skills.
Hmm.
Okay. And right now, also, as we speak, I work from home. So, there is limited investment that I do in terms of the infrastructure, or even, I will say, right now, being a solopreneur, there is not even a team cost that is
Hmm.
attached to me. Okay, while that is the vision I have for the next year. So breaking even just happened in the very first year, I would say. Okay,
Hmm.
because the investment that I did in the first year was majorly around building my own skills. And then, like I said, by God's grace, I had organizations. So in my way of working was, I don't work generally with one to one clients, but I work with organizations directly,
Mm-hmm.
because that what happens is that structure is really, I feel, more effective, and it
Mm-hmm.
is well structured from a coaching domain point of view, where I can really see the impact.
Mm-hmm.
So while obviously the next level for me is to start my own digital curriculum and build a community there.
Mm-hmm.
But in my year one, it was majorly focused on getting organizations onboarded, which happened in the
Mm-hmm.
very first year. So the break even actually happened in the very year one,
Mm-hmm.
because other than that, if you ask me honestly, I am not taking other financials into account, because after working for 20 years, what happens is there is a like today also I don't run any ads, so there are no other, I will say, miscellaneous expenses that I have, because
Mm-hmm.
the advantage of starting late is you already have network
A cushion.
in the
Yeah.
market, right? And
Mm-hmm.
people know you, you already have your credibility which is established.
Mm-hmm.
And now what you are doing is what you have gained in those 2 decades is what you are now.
Yeah. Putting out.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Got it. And what was your best year?
So I will say every year is a best year, because
Mm-hmm.
because what I'm doing right now, like I said, I'm like so excited about it, and it really drives me so much that every day morning, like in the evening when I go to sleep, I'm like so supercharged to get up early in the morning and okay, let's do something. So year one, it's been like 2 years of my business, and year one was like full on getting new clients, signing up organizations. Year two is where actually I got in touch back with my own passion, like writing. Okay, this is something which I had almost lost 2 decades ago. So today I have my own newsletter running on LinkedIn. I just co-authored a book, and then interestingly, the I will say,
What if one platform could handle your CRM, proposals, scheduling, contracts, invoicing, subscriptions, project management, client portal, file sharing, marketing, all in one place? Meet Sootdash, the OG all in one business platform built to eliminate software overload and help you scale with confidence. With Sootdash, you get a single login and a unified system to streamline your workflows. Powerful, no code automations that reduce manual tasks and put your business on autopilot. And here is the game changer: unlimited users and clients. That's right, no per user fees. Add your entire team, your clients, your contractors with no additional charge. But Suit Dash doesn't just build software, they build community. The roadmap is shaped by feedback from the community, and there are live support sessions to help you succeed every step of the way. Tens of thousands of small businesses and more than 1,000 five-star reviews on Capterra and G2. They all can't be wrong. You can try it for free, no credit card required, at suit-.com. That is suit-.com. Suit Dash, one login, one platform, one monthly price, unlimited potential.
value in sharing my experiences with the world happened through TEDx. So these are those experiences which are immediately not revenue generating,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes you feel so whole,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel that you're growing as an individual every day, right? So I will still not tie myself to, okay, this was my best year, or I feel every day I feel equally excited and enthusiastic about what I have done on that particular day.
Got it. And since you brought up LinkedIn, what's your take on LinkedIn? Because there seems to be this whole conversation of mixed responses or opinions about LinkedIn. Like, what's your take? Have you found any success in your business on LinkedIn?
So personally, out of all the social handles, LinkedIn is something which came naturally to me, because I came from a corporate background, right? And till the time I hadn't started my own venture, it was just a good to have social platform. Today, I use it I will say aggressively for my business. And personally, I would say I am pretty happy with how LinkedIn is as a in terms of its capabilities, while I still don't use it to its fullest potential. Okay, and that is something which again is the ball is in my court. Okay.
Do you
However,
think LinkedIn like holds lot of capabilities, but it is hiding behind the paywall?
it depends on how much do you want to use it, because like I said, even I don't have the full paid version. Okay, and in the very year one, I got organizations reaching to me on LinkedIn. Okay, and I did sign up contracts with them. Okay, and those coaching contracts are running till date. Okay, so interestingly, what I feel is that any social media platform first requires us to give, okay, and create our credibility on that particular platform where
No,
people
I
can
understand
see
that.
us.
No, but what I'm saying is, compared to let's say Facebook or Instagram for many B2C brands, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Do you think LinkedIn has that kind of limitation because it hides a lot of features and a lot of stuff behind the paywall, where you are like almost forced to pay, right? To in order to just to scale, it might be an agency, a company, or just like you're a coach, right? But you would have to definitely pay to utilize it, where it's like kind of harming it,
So I have
because it's
seen
very clear. Sorry, because it's very clear that LinkedIn makes a ton of money just through ads.
that is true. However, if you ask me, while I have been an observant to those conversations, I
Hmm.
still feel there are a lot of things available on LinkedIn which one can use very effectively without having the paid version to make the full
Hmm.
use of it.
Hmm.
However, yes, if I look in terms of the money investment, it is high.
Yeah, right.
It
That's
is
what I'm
high.
saying. Like it's not something that a beginner business can afford, right?
Can afford, but the only caveat I want to put here is that you don't need to. Okay, you can still make
Hmm.
use of the platform very effectively in year
Definitely,
one and
yeah,
year two, and then decide whether you want to really invest in that, because I agree the cost is high.
yeah,
Okay, and and yes, the way they promote the you realize that, okay, fine, like to just give a very simple example, the verification badge, while it doesn't have a cost, right? But I'm like, okay, fine, I'll get verified. It's like I sometimes feel, okay, am I an unverified person on LinkedIn, because the amount of push they do
yeah.
for certain things are a little on the edge.
That's exactly my point. Like
Yeah.
they're very like sharp kind of mindset when it comes to pushing you to subscriptions, right?
Yeah. But
Um,
the kind of value I find in terms of especially if I talk about the corporate presence and even entrepreneurial presence, okay,
mhm,
and the kind of valuable connections
mhm,
that one can make on LinkedIn,
mhm.
I really find the platform like super effective, even in terms of. So there's a lot of knowledge, right? And knowledge is like everywhere. Today, there's no dearth of knowledge. It is up to us how much do we really want to absorb. But I really find that platform engaging in that terms, and yes, what I like appreciate to an extent is there is still empathy to a good amount that is present on that platform when
On
people
LinkedIn,
yes.
you are the first person to say that.
Okay,
I can say that
I am a
definitely.
first person today for many things, so but yes, I
Yes.
if you ask me, I have made some very beautiful connections on LinkedIn
Hmm.
with people in different
No,
countries.
I was not talking about connections. I was talking just about general
Yeah,
posting and
yeah, so but
converting everything into motivation, kind of stuff that
yes.
because younger generation is kind of afraid of using LinkedIn, like,
Okay.
and that's the reality, right? Because even if an executive sitting in LinkedIn head office looks at demographic, they would definitely say younger people are not attracted to LinkedIn, right? The reason is it's a very old structure, right? Because what I truly think is, let's say based on Web3, right, there was a LinkedIn alternative, and even if it costed more, people would definitely use it and just leave LinkedIn. Because LinkedIn has become this inspiration milking machine, where it's like very like, I would say, inorganic, because their algorithm itself is kind of weird, right? Because if you have a badge,
Hmm.
if you have a Sales Navigator Premium, your content gets pushed everywhere. And if you don't have it, it's like limited to the 1,000 people, 1,500 people.
Hmm.
And that is not even relevant to number of connections you might have, right? You might have like 5,000 connections, but your content is being only shown to like 1,000 people,
Hmm.
right? So a lot of creators are not incentivized, right, to give quality to on LinkedIn
Hmm.
like they do on Instagram or TikTok or any other place.
So I was just thinking that this is an interesting perspective you have brought, and I would like to go back and speak to some of the young clients that I have. However, my immediate feeling about it is that one of the reasons, and as I have coached few collegians,
Hmm.
in their journey of getting into organizations, one of the feeling could simply be fear.
Yeah.
Okay, and that fear is not about the platform. The
Hmm.
fear is that, am I enough to be on LinkedIn?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
because typically,
definitely. Do you have enough credentials? Do I have enough
exactly,
fluff to fill the LinkedIn?
exactly. Because typically, when you go on LinkedIn, you have people like us. I'll be very honest. Who have, uh, God knows, have done too much in their life, or
Typical
not. I don't know, but
accomplishers.
have moved through a lot of organizations, right?
Yeah, I would describe you as a typical accomplisher, where you're like, yeah, I have done that, you know.
Yeah, so what happens is that you have tags like a director or a CEO or a
Yeah,
founder, or so suddenly I'm just imagining a young child.
yeah.
Okay, a 20-year is a child only. Okay, and
Hmm.
they enter into the world of LinkedIn. Okay, where it is full of content about AI and empathy and this and that, and then it is being written by CEOs and founders and directors, and they're like, okay, am I the right audience? Okay,
Hmm.
am I in the right place for
Yep.
even being part of it? So I think that is one of my feeling that creates anxiety. Okay, and it
Hmm.
creates discomfort.
Exactly, that's my point. It's
Yeah.
very kind of, um, I would say, very stringent in terms of what it requires and how, even if you wanted to open an account right now on LinkedIn, right? And to the audience, if you guys have not yet tried it, just go ahead and try it, right? Um, and you will definitely hate yourself for not doing enough in life. LinkedIn is that process. Anyways, so what tech or what tech stacks do you use on your business on a daily basis?
So right now I use very simple tech stacks. One is definitely the amazing version of ChatGPT. Okay, because
Hmm.
it is one of, I will say, my team members right now,
Hmm.
and a
So
lot of.
what about DeepSeek or
No, I
any
haven't
other
explored
AIs?
DeepSeek because
Hmm.
the kind of work that I'm doing right now, a paid version of ChatGPT right now is more than enough. DeepSeek
Hmm.
is something which I am yet to explore. I honestly have very high level understanding of what it is.
Hmm.
Okay, and I haven't delved into deep dived into understanding because I feel that even ChatGPT is something which in itself is a monster. Okay,
Hmm.
and I'm still, so right now I use it very regularly. Okay, and I will still say I'm a little old school because I don't, I'm still convincing myself to reach a stage where my content is not my own but has been created by someone else, and in
Hmm.
this case technology. Okay, because I don't feel credible enough when I
Hmm.
use that content somewhere. So what I do right now is more, all my content on the social media platforms are thought through and, I will say, created by me.
Hmm.
Okay, and what I use technology is just to make it, I will say, more valuable for the audience and simpler
Hmm.
for them. However, I am yet to convince myself to reach a stage where I say, you just, this is the prompt and just you know
Hmm.
give me the content. In fact, I do it vice versa. I write my own, then I give the prompt, create the content, just to see have I missed something
Hmm.
very valuable that needs to be part of my content, which will be of value to the listeners or the audience or the readers.
Got it.
Okay, so that is one. The second very simple tools that I use is obviously my go to place, Canva,
Hmm.
because it has like everything that I can think of in terms of meeting my, I will say, what to say, like meeting in terms of my presentation needs, or meeting in
Creative
terms of,
requirements.
yeah,
Yep.
anything, my invoicing needs. So that is the place. I did get reached out by certain digital content creators, where they were like, do you want to integrate more technology? But the stage I am in right now in my business, where I'm yet to scale,
Hmm.
I feel that let's not bring in technology for the heck of bringing it in. Okay, one needs
Hmm.
to have a very clear understanding of how it is going to help me and at what level it is going to help me. So, in terms of scaling up, like even in terms of running ads, right?
Hmm.
So, that is the stage I am yet to reach in my year three, and that is what I am targeting. The other simple tools that I'm exploring right now, because I have to start my own I have to start my own podcast.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that is, those are the, I will say, platforms I'm exploring, like Vido and what you are
Hmm.
using, Riverside. But other than that, I don't think there is any other technology tool that I use very regularly. I use it on
Got
ad
it.
hoc basis, but I don't use very regularly.
Got it. And what would be your one or two pointers that you could give to people who want to start their own, but they're not, they're like, I'm not sure about it.
Hmm. So I always share my three C's, okay,
Hmm.
and those three C's is what I feel can help one most probably navigate into deciding and taking that leap. And the
Hmm.
three C's are clarity, courage, and connection.
Hmm.
Okay, clarity. I will want to start with the first C is clarity. That why do you even want to start what you want to start? Okay, and that why has to be so powerful that it really drives you every day, irrespective of what challenges you are going to experience. Because uh, we all know, even if people don't listen to me and you, they know that if you're starting an entrepreneurial journey, it's going to be tough, right?
Yeah.
So interestingly, it is very very valuable to know the purpose because of which you want to start your journey. I also believe that the purpose has to be larger than us.
Hmm.
Okay, if it is only for the business that I am creating, while revenue or money generation is a very very vital element of it, but is that the ultimate goal?
For most people, that's the thing. And I'm being honest. Like, for most people, starting a business is more about getting that money than
Hmm.
anything. And once they start chasing that, then I think they find the purpose, right? Like, behind
Hmm.
why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. So the first question to ask ourselves is that if I had all the money in the world, okay,
Hmm.
and if I had all the time in the world, then what will I do with my life? Okay, because what happens is that money, time, all these lead us to certain disempowering beliefs. Okay, like typically for and in clarity, I also give a lot of value to what beliefs do you carry. Okay, because as any person, there are very I will say disempowering beliefs that we have. One is that if I if I do what I love, I will never be able to make enough money.
Hmm.
Okay, or making money and doing something I love can never go hand in hand.
Hmm.
Or simple beliefs like, for example, I don't think I have those qualities that can make me a very successful entrepreneur.
Hmm.
So clarity is, that is why very very valuable in terms of why do I want to build a business. Because initially money will not come in.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
may not come in, I'm not saying it will not come in, but it may not come in. Okay, so what is it that is waking me up every day in the morning and giving me that push? Okay, that
Hmm.
I have to give my 100% today. So once we define that, money can definitely be our big, one of the big goals. However, it has to be complemented with something which money is meeting. Okay, it could
Hmm.
be traveling. Like, why do you want to earn money? It could be that you want to get into adventure sports, I don't know, whatever is the reason. Okay, so figure that out and then have that. The second, like I said, is courage.
Hmm.
Okay, most of the times, because of our fears, we just fail to take action.
Hmm.
Okay, and then it becomes more like a regret
Hmm.
rather than a failed experience.
Yep.
So it is valuable. That is why to have that courage to take
Hmm.
action. And one very valuable, uh, I will say, thing that I would recommend is You can listen to Strangest Secrets
Mhm.
by All Nightingale, and it is like a 30-minute, very simple audio file which talks about, which is a journey towards shifting our beliefs,
Mhm.
okay, and moving towards action. So it is very, very valuable that, and one of the powerful quotes that happened to me once I started my entrepreneurial journey is that let your faith be greater than your fear. Okay, so it is very, very valuable to have that faith that whatever I'm dreaming, that means that I'm meant to do that, right? And if I am meant to do that, then let me believe in faith rather than
Mhm.
succumbing to fear.
Mhm.
And the other interesting thing that I always say is that if you want to achieve something that you have not achieved, then you should be willing to do something that you have never done, right?
Yep.
And I'm forgetting the name of the person whose quote it is, but
Mhm.
we have to attempt something different if we want something different in life. Okay, by and that is very, very valuable. So
Mhm.
the third is connection, and that is again very, very close to my heart. I
Mhm.
will say connection should be again at least four levels. One is self connection.
Mhm.
Okay, it is very valuable for us as an entrepreneur to know ourselves. Okay, what
Mhm.
is something which reduces my energy?
Mhm.
What are things I don't enjoy? What are the things I enjoy? Okay, what are the
Mhm.
strengths I have which will help me move towards my goal? What are my weaknesses? So it is
Mhm.
very, very valuable to have a self connection.
Mhm.
The second valuable aspect is actually having a mentor.
Mhm.
Okay, it is very, very valuable that if you are starting your journey, try to have, not try, I will say, do have a person to guide you on that journey who
Mhm.
has already been on that path, have experienced failures and success, and will help you navigate it through this journey faster and in an accelerated manner.
Got it.
Yeah. And the last I will say connection for me is a spiritual connection. Okay, it is
Mhm.
the connection to the divine, because I draw all my power, I will say, from there, because I feel that I'm not limited by who I am in the physical space, right? And the ability, or I will say the limitlessness, comes from there. The, I will say, faith comes from there, power comes from there. And
Mhm.
it really helps me. It has guided me on my journey, and yes, has given me some very amazing surprises, which I never knew would happen so soon in my life in terms of my business success. A very small book I would recommend is The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. So if you get time, it is a wonderful book. It's a very small book, very tiny book
Mhm.
with very limited pages, but it is amazing.
Got it. Um, so to sum it up, right? Um, just be more confident in yourself, right? Build that risk appetite, capacity in yourself, and then just go for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
Go for it. Make your effort and see. It's better, like I said, it's better to fail than to regret.
mhm.
But yeah, one has to think through rather than just jumping in, like we always say. One has to have a strategy in place
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then go after what you want to go after.
Got it. So, thank you so much for being here. This was wonderful. I wanted to keep it compact because it's like this is a very loaded subject. It's not something that we can spend like a 2 hour conversation on, because people definitely feel boring, because it's a very loaded subject. It
Yes.
takes a lot of time to understand this.
Yes.
So, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
And if people want to reach out to you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so please reach out to me through the LinkedIn handle Coach Rachna.
Mhm.
And the only thing I want to call out is it is Rachana. So it's Coach Rachna. So please feel free to reach out. Even on Instagram, it's Coach Rachna.
Mhm.
So please feel free to reach out to me.
Got it. And guys, this is the end of the episode. If you have made it so far, thank you so much for being here, and listening to us. And hopefully, you did um, gain some value out of this. And all of Rachana's links will be in the description. So just go, just check it out. And if you want to talk to her, or want to take her services, definitely you're welcome. So until the next episode, thank you so much. Take care. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.